Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? On the last evening before entering the palace, as per tradition, my family came to see me off. Feng Ruo had all the attendants leave us alone, leaving just my family and me, all of us in tears. This farewell marked the beginning of my life within the deep confines of the palace, making any future meetings with my family extremely difficult. I tried to hold back my tears as I looked at Yu Yao and Yu Haiyou. Yu Yao, just 12, was growing up and, although not as beautiful as me, possessed a delicate charm. However, her gentle and timid nature made me worry about her future. Yu Haiyou, only 7, was lively and intelligent, showing much promise. I had a special affection for her, and she was particularly close to me. Yu Yao, doing her best to stop crying, held our mother's hand, tears streaming down her face. Yu Haiyou, not fully understanding the situation, clung to my neck, pleading, "Big sister, don't leave Haiyou." They were both too young to bear any significant responsibilities for the family, but fortunately, my brother Zhenheng was capable and promising. Though only 4 years older than me, he was skilled in both letters and martial arts and was about to join the military to serve on the frontier. I looked at my mother, who was just over 40. The luxury and care she had at home made her appear younger, but the impending departure of her son and eldest daughter added a touch of sadness and worry to her face, along with strands of gray in her hair. She kept wiping away her tears with a handkerchief, but they continued to fall like a meandering stream. Feeling a deep ache in my heart, I tearfully embraced her and said, "Mother, I will be in the palace and won't suffer much. Brother is going to earn honor and will return soon. Besides, you'll still have my sisters with you." My mother held me tight, unable to stop crying. Drying her tears, she admonished, "People often say that entering the palace is like stepping into a deep sea. Now it's happening to us. Huaner, you must take good care of yourself in the palace. Be cautious in your interactions with the other consorts, especially the favored consort Hua. It would be great if you could become one of the emperor's favored consorts, but all I want is my daughter to be safe. Your life is the most important thing, so make sure to protect yourself no matter what." I managed a weak smile and reassured her, "Mother, don't worry. I'll remember everything you've said. And please take care of yourselves too." My father, looking sorrowful and silent, finally said, "Huaner, from now on, your honor and disgrace are your own, as well as the honor and disgrace of the Zhen family." I nodded firmly, noticing my brother looked thoughtful but remained silent. I knew he wasn't one to hesitate without reason, so I said, "Mother and father, please take my sisters and rest. I have something to discuss with my brother." After they reluctantly left, my brother seemed surprised that I wanted to speak with him alone. I gently prompted, "Brother, if you have something to say, now is the time." After hesitating, he produced a letter from his sleeve. The faint scent of herbs told me who had written it. He finally said, "When Shichu asked me to give this to you, I've been wondering for 2 days whether I should let you know." Glancing at the letter, I said, "Brother, he's being foolish and so are you. Private exchanges like this are a serious offense for a consort of the emperor." My brother's voice faded, filled with emotion. "I know it's against the palace rules, but his feelings—" I interrupted coldly, "Zhen Huan cannot bear such feelings." Seeing my brother's guilty expression, I softened my tone. "Don't you understand, brother? When Shichu isn't the one for me, and I have no such person in my heart." My brother nodded slightly. "He knows it's impossible, but he just wanted you to understand his feelings. He and I have always been close, and I couldn't bear to see him suffer from unrequited love." He handed me the letter. "Deal with this letter as you see fit." I murmured an acknowledgement and left the letter on the table indifferent. "Please tell Wen Shichu to focus on his duties as a physician and not to worry about me." My brother looked at me intently. "I'll convey your message, but knowing his temperament, he might not heed your wishes." I was non-committal, reaching for a silver hairpin to adjust the candle wick, then lightly blowing off the sparks. "Just pass on the message. It's a reminder for both him and me. If he can accept it, it's for the best. If not, it won't harm me. It's just to let him know that our statuses are now different, and we're no longer who we were." I then handed my brother a newly made teal robe, speaking softly, "I made this robe for you, brother. When you see it, think of me. Take care of yourself in the cold frontier, just as I must in the palace." My brother carefully stored the robe. His eyes filled with reluctance as he silently watched me. For a moment, I was back to being a little girl, carried on his shoulders to admire the most beautiful pomegranate blossoms in May. Regaining my composure, I had Huan escort him out. Watching his departing figure, I felt a surge of sadness and tears fell freely. I had Lu Zhu bring in a brazier, intending to burn Wen Shichu's letter, but noticing a large teardrop stain on the back, making the pink paper seem almost blood-stained, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Opening the letter, I saw just 2 lines in weak script. "Once entering the noble's door deep as the sea, from then on Xiao Lang is a stranger." Frustrated by such presumptuous affection, I crumpled the letter and tossed it into the brazier, where it was quickly consumed by flames. Lu Zhu took the brazier away, and Huan came to serve tea, gently chiding, "Did physician Wen upset Miss again? His intentions might be good but misplaced. Miss, please don't stoop to his level." I sipped my tea, troubled. I vividly remembered Wen Shichu asking for my pulse under the pretense of a peaceful pulse. Half a month before the selection, imperial physicians weren't allowed to treat anyone outside the royal family without an imperial decree, but due to his family's long-standing friendship with mine, he often visited privately. That day, after taking my pulse and pondering for a while, he suddenly asked, "Miss Huan, if I were to propose, would you marry me?" I was stunned and blushed, sternly replying, "Physician Wen, I will pretend I never heard what you said today." He was both ashamed and flustered, repeatedly apologizing. "It was my fault, I was too abrupt with Sister Huan. Please calm your anger." Wen Shichu only hoped that sister wouldn't have to go through the palace selection. Barely suppressing my anger, I called for Biener. "I'm tired. Please show the guest out," half dismissing him. Before he left, he looked at me earnestly, saying, "Wen Shichu may not promise anything else, but he can assure lifelong kindness towards Sister Huan. Please consider, and if willing, let Brother Zhen convey the message, and I will come to propose immediately." I turned away, staring silently at the ebony-carved screen behind me. I never brought up the matter again, not even to my parents or brother. Wen Shichu was not the one I desired in my heart. I couldn't just marry someone because I didn't want to be selected for the palace. If life only offered the choices of entering the palace or marrying Wen Shichu, I would rather enter the palace. At least I wouldn't have to spend my life with Wen Shichu, a man I've known since childhood but do not love, in a joyless and indifferent marriage. My life shouldn't be so predictable. At least the palace offered a different world. Feeling restless, I ignored Huan Bai's advice to rest and wandered alone to the veranda, wrapped in a silk cloak. The corridor led to Lingrong's residence, Chuanji Pavilion. Considering she might want to speak privately with Aunt Xiao before entering the palace, I decided not to visit and instead walked towards the garden. Suddenly, I felt a deep nostalgia for the Zhen estate where I had lived for 15 years. Every plant and stone evoking memories and stirring emotions. After aimlessly walking for a while, I hurried back, worrying that Feng Ruo and the servants might be anxious. Passing by my brother's residence, Shulangzhai, I heard a rustling near its side door and saw a petite figure. Thinking it was one of my brother's maids, I was about to speak when I realized it was Lingrong. I quickly hid behind a wutong tree. Lingrong stood, gazing at my brother's tall silhouette in the window, bathed in the silvery moonlight filtering through the leaves. The night breeze lifted her clothes, but she seemed unaware of the chill. By mid-September, the wutong trees had begun shedding leaves. In the deep, quiet night, I could faintly hear Lingrong's suppressed sobs, evoking a sense of desolation. Even if Lingrong had feelings for my brother, it seemed their destinies were not aligned. The night wind reminded me of Wen Shichu's words. Once entering the noble's door deep as the sea, from then on Xiao Lang is a stranger. For Lingrong, these words seemed particularly apt. I watched silently until Lingrong finally left without a sound. Looking at the light in my brother's room, I was shocked at my oversight. I prided myself on my intelligence, yet I hadn't noticed Lingrong's feelings for my brother, which had deepened over just a few days to the point of tears the night before entering the palace. I must have been too preoccupied with my own troubles to notice. If there was anything between my brother and Lingrong, it could ruin them both and bring disaster to both the An and Zhen families. I worried but then realized that my brother probably didn't know about Lingrong's feelings, which seemed to be unrequited. Nevertheless, I felt I should subtly warn Lingrong. Her entry into the palace was already challenging enough without jeopardizing her future there. Returning to my room, I spent a sleepless night, my mind too troubled to find rest. And so passed my last night in my family home.
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the Story Wall homepage to view more exciting novels.